All right. Hello and welcome. This is the Pandora's Box interview series. This is my first interviewing subject, none other than Boston Bandit's newest acquisition in Trash Panda. We're going to get right into it. First question for you, Trash Panda. How did you find the TVA?
I was invited by you.
Invited by me. That is straight up true. Next, how did you come up with your gamer tag?
I was making a new account and needed a name, and raccoons are dope. And anyone who disagrees is just stupid. So,
What would be one suggestion of a rule change or a format change that you would have for the second season of the TVA?
Honestly, just having, and this is more on the coaches and owners, but having a rule about like people's personal schedules, because like it's just a pain trying to coordinate it all.
Would you be able to elaborate on that a little more? I think I'm having a little bit of trouble following.
Basically, like before you get on a team, have a baseline schedule for when you can practice and when you can play your games, so people aren't scrambling to plan it all every week. And so players on teams have a better idea of when they might be practicing and when their game will be, rather than finding out last minute. There's been some issues with it this season. I know when I was on PK, getting practice was hard because we realized as soon as we drafted all our players that, well, nobody's schedule lined up. So if people were like just presenting a somewhat like loose schedule, at least for days that they could play, days that they could practice, it would be nice, and I think it would take a lot of stress off like the owners and the players as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think part of that is and this is just going into back then. I didn't even consider scheduling to be a thing. I just wanted the best players, so I can see where you're coming from. And if I were to be an owner in season 2, and if back when I was still owner and going into season 2, I think that would have been something I would have put a lot more stock into, other than just drafting my dream team. And I think that's just my take. I don't know how other owners did it, but I'm sure they probably put a little more weight into it than I did. Yeah. And so that was probably just mostly my fault. Going into our fourth baseline question, give me your ideal dream team, your starting 5 for the TVA of season 1.
My starting 5. Okay. Well, I'll just try to fill it by role. So it might not be the 5 best players in the league, but the 5 best role players that I feel. For my Sentinel, I'd probably just put Dummy Slick on Chamber. And then Smokes would be a tough one. Obamacare plays a really good Astra, so that would be a good Smoke pickup. For now, I'll say Obama if I think of someone else, but I don't know if there's another Smokes player that I'd take over Obama. He plays Astra really well. So that's Sentinel controller. Bit of personal bias, but I'd put myself as Jet. But, that's interchangeable depending on who you ask. And then for Initiator, I might go... Oh, this is a tough one. I don't... Initiator's a tough one. I think Grumpy is pretty flexible. So maybe I'll just use Grumpy as my flex. Because, he frags out. He's kind of a fragger, but he also knows how to play a lot of agents, I feel like. I've played him against Viper, Jet, Rain. So I feel like if I tossed him a KO role, he'd probably do pretty well. And then I think for my 5th, I'd probably go with Avery. Just because of the way I built the team. I think Avery's probably arguably one of the best players in the league. I throw him on either a second duelist, or I know he knows how to play some initiators as well. So yeah, I think me, Avery, Dummy, Grumpy, and Obama. but that's just off the top of my head. I'm sure I'm forgetting some people. But I think for now that's how I'd go with those 5.
I think that is definitely a very strong team, definitely, especially going into the season. I think you got 4 of the top 5 players off that list, and then Obamacare. You don't need him to be a top 5 player. You can have him be just the role player, and as long as he does his job, I think that's a great lineup you have for yourself. And then going into the personalized question that I have for you, what is the biggest difference that you've noticed between being a player of the Phoenix Knights and now newly acquired Boston Bandits player?
The biggest difference, that's hard to say. I mean, because a big difference is just in the play style of the 2 teams, and it takes some getting used to. Bandits definitely play different than PK did. And so just adjusting to that, because, I'm joining a team of 4 players that have played together for all season. They kind of already know how each other plays and all that. And so I'm now just kind of being put into that role where I have to get used to that. And then, just the level of practice as well is very different for me. Like I said earlier in the interview, it felt impossible to get any practice on PK because everyone's schedules didn't line up. But I've practiced a decent amount already on the Bandits, and it's different. It's it's interesting. We've done VOD reviews, got more scrims, and so I would say those are the 2 biggest differences: is just getting used to a new play style of the team, and then actually seeing what it's like to have a team that's able to practice, whose schedules aren't all over the place and everything. So it's definitely different. Old PK definitely would have still smoked Bandits, but now I'm a Bandit, so.
You're not allowed to say that anymore. You'll get benched.
So now Bandits are going to smoke everyone.
Yes.
Don't bench me.
And with that, I don't really have any bounce-off questions. I was kind of thinking I might as we continued, but no, I don't really. So I want to thank you for joining me for this first Pandora's Box interview segment. And, for everyone that does end up listening to this, I hope you enjoyed it, and, call out Trash Panda on his dream team, because I definitely would have made a couple of changes, but that's just me. It's still a very strong lineup, but yeah. So other than that, I'm going to close this out. I already said thanks for coming, but thanks for coming again. And Panda, if you have any closing words, go ahead and end on that.
Go Bandits!